All right, man. Welcome. This is absolute thrill. How exciting. John, you're on the road today. What's going on?
Yeah, got to get out of the office on a nice Friday and come down to beautiful Morris, Illinois. Never, only about an hour away, right along the I&M Canal, and my wife and I do a lot of stuff on the canal with the boys. And seeing this stop like on the map, and I'm like, hey, that's where Patrick's at. And then we talked a little bit last week, and I'm like, let's come down and see it, boys. So yeah,
Yeah, the canal, actually, just from a Chicago point of view, is
Yeah.
the reason that Morris is thriving and
Okay.
has thrived. So Ottawa, where Starved Rock was, Morris, Shanahan, all these towns along the way. Now it's a recreational path,
Yeah.
but it was how they got grains from the city
right.
to little towns like this. So a lot of little towns and farm towns around us that aren't quite as busy and as much of a destination as
Yeah.
we are down here. But it's the reason that you go spend your weekends doing
Right,
stuff like
right.
this
Yeah,
because
they
of
put
the
all that
transportation hub.
Exactly. Yeah, seeing the old school horse,
Yeah,
paths where they would
mule,
drag the
mule,
grain.
and
Yeah,
canal boat.
yeah, sick. And Kurt, just a little bit of backstory. So I was on the phone earlier today with IMAC, and they're like, "Where are you at?" I'm like, "Morris, Illinois." They're like, "Where's that?" I'm like, "You guys should know that."
We need to get it on the IMEC radar. So this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this is awesome. So again, we've been doing this weekly. So we've got John LaRoy, CEO, President Extraordinaire from Apparel Redefined, and John's on the road today at down in Morris, Illinois, and we're with Patrick Keegan. Patrick, this is just a thrill. Just we're checking out the background. Just share a little bit of your background, what's going on, and we're excited to hear about your entrepreneurial journey. But just give us a little background on yourself.
Yeah, so we're in the town that I grew up in. My wife and I together opened this store. It's called Field Day Sporting Co. We have a brand called Field Day Sporting Co. Our store concept is called Field Day Social. The store was kind of our vehicle to launch our brand. But I've been in product development my entire career. I lived in New York, I lived in LA and San Diego, all throughout North Carolina, all for different kind of brands, but a lot in the golf space and in the manufacturing and design side. So that's my way back home, really. We traveled a lot of places to try to find happy, and this was kind of always in the back of our minds. So we're pretty proud to have our shop in our in our little place and surrounded by the people that we love.
Well, I love it. Well, you've built a wonderful business and career in golf. So my first question for you is, let's take a step back in time. Who or what inspired you to really put your whole career into golf?
Yeah, well, my dad was a golf pro. He was a golf pro and then course operator, owned the golf course here in town. He kind of like me started at a really young age. He was 21, answered his college landline from his
Yeah.
dorm room and took the head pro job because they canned the guy ahead of him
yeah.
that he spent the summer with the year before. So really lucky at a young age and spent 30 years here in Morris at our private club, Morris Country Club.
That's where your event's at, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
where we
yeah.
host our
Okay.
persimmon tournament. So yeah, it's kind of full circle back to now, but that's really how I got into the business. We attended the wholesale trade shows like John would for corporate merch and printing and all that kind of thing, but more for golf shops and specialty retailers to buy their product for the season, whether it was from TaylorMade and buying your new drivers and golf equipment, or going to see Nike and Ralph Lauren. They'd be at those shows. But I was there in a stroller. So my dad was unique because he, not only was he a golf pro, which you think just giving lessons and selling equipment and fitting people, but he is kind of an old school pro in the sense that private clubs couldn't really afford to pay a guy just to be the golf pro. So they'd give him the golf shop as an incentive. So my dad owned his own shop and whether he wanted to or not, became a retailer. So we spent a ton of time buying, and by high school I was managing and running buying for his shop and remerchandising and redressing mannequins, and not the normal like competitive athletic thing that a high school kid would be doing, but I'd go play in a golf match and on my way to the first tee I'd go fluff and fold. So that's really how I got into it. I had a golf scholarship and I couldn't find anything to study at the university here in Chicago that I was going to go play at, and we went to the PGA show one more time, and I came back on the plane and just decided I think I want to have my own apparel company someday. So I went to the Art Institute in Chicago for fashion design, and was really annoying and super squeaky wheel to just about everybody I'd ever met. And I got my first job at Ralph Lauren. So it's kind of the long story of how it happened, but all through, a lifetime and a family business in both retail and golf.
Well, it's in your DNA. You just can't even help it, right? From all the way from
Totally.
you're in the stroller at dad's shop, and it's fascinating. It's very common for golf pros that all of a sudden they become that retailer that with golf courses around the country. It's a very common thing that happens for golf pros. So it's fascinating to hear how it happened with your dad. I'd love to dive in. So you have vast experience in fashion. So you combine golf with fashion. How do you feel your Ralph Lauren experience helped you as an entrepreneur?
I think it's complicated because they're so efficient as a brand, and they have so many layers. I mean, they sell paint for God's sakes.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They have so many different categories. I think something like 6,000 global employees. We had 2 offices in New York that I would work out of kind of simultaneously. One was a sales showroom. One was the design office that had, I was on the 7th floor, but there were 27 floors with the showroom on the top where they, yeah. So, I mean, it's a serious operation. So it's hard to say just one thing, but I think as a creative person, at least, and as a designer, the thing I took to heart the most and the thing I fell in love with was concept and creative direction and design. And Ralph really built his business, I think, just through storytelling. And I think without being able to create a setting for something, you can't tell a story. So if you look at the way that you write a novel, it's where are you, who are you, what's the time period, what's the weather like, you create that setting. And it's the same thing in product design or in retail design or in building out your corporate merchandise business. I think you have to have a great concept. So that's kind of helped me transcend from maybe just like how to design a great polo shirt or a cool graphic tee to, what's this big business look like? And it's definitely defined field day as a philosophy and what that represents and the definition and the optimism and the, uplifting nature of what we're doing. But every layer, every event we run, every energetic thing we try to do, it's all a new concept. We're rebranding the barber shop we have in the store right now, and there's just it's fun to get to put that new hat on and write a new story, I guess.
Well, I mean, Kurt, if you don't mind, I want to ask, like, what inspired this retail space? Because it is so unique. You got the bar, you got the barber shop, you have your office, and I honestly, I feel like your logo is very nostalgic, right?
Yeah.
And it makes me feel like, and you walk down the street and they are playing Frank Sinatra now and it's Michael Bublé. I feel like I'm walking in the 50s. And like,
yeah,
obviously I wasn't born in the 50s, but I always kind of like instinctively feel like I should have been an old soul, I guess. But like, I've just loved the feel in here and the look. And like we said, 27 floors at Ralph Lauren. I'm sure you've traveled to many different retail shops and this is great, this sucks. But this is such an eclectic mix, but it all fits. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you walk through some like sporting good stores and you walk through some now these facilities where you have golf, you have baseball, you have hockey, all in one. It's like everything, nothing flows. It's just like stodgy and just doesn't work. And everything in here, there's so many. I mean, there's a bike behind us, a powered bike. You got shoes, you got golf apparel, you got tuxedos. You know what I mean? Like grills, barbecue, and it all flows and it all works. And it's like the design and the feel is so phenomenal. I'm just curious, like how you came up with this.
Yeah. So field day by definition, I guess, big picture is a day devoted. Okay. So that is to whatever it is you love to do, in our opinion. It's also like, there's Merriam-Webster dictionary, point 1, point 2, point 3. Point 2 or 3 is a day at play. Okay. So a lot of kids, it's for like second or last day of school right now.
For sure.
There's a lot of field days going on. And I think we're tapping into kind of that sense of yesteryear and our own. I think you tap into the things you love to do in your youth. The Little Prince is a big inspiration to us. That's a short story. And I think that don't forget your youth. And our logo, although my son would say it's me, is definitely an interpretation kind of that childhood sense of wonder and the nostalgia. And you're in Morris. This is, we'll see a lot of kids riding their bike and skateboarding and jogging around, and they sit at our bar and have root beer and we love that we're a safe place for the community from that perspective. So really proud of that. I love Charlie Brown. I love Norman Rockwell. I love the Wonder Years, the great old TV show. Like Kevin Arnold is he's kind of Kevin Arnold. He's all those guys. Okay. So for us, that's kind of where it started. So we're writing the story of the Run Boy, which is our logo still, I guess, in concept. But this is Morris, Illinois is kind of the where are you, who are you, what's the era. Hopefully we're helping a little bit inspire some of the music and some of the vibe, but Morris definitely from a point of view, the charm of an old, safe Americana town. Mm-hmm. That's what this place is all about. So I think really our hometown inspired a ton of what we're doing, and we're just merchandising a nice new layer into it. Sure. I think it already existed here for us. From a point of view of the mix, I mean, I told John while we were walking around and I was giving him the tour, it's kind of my Christmas list that you can shop in every size. My mom would say that I used to print out PDFs of what I wanted for Christmas with snowmobiles and things that I would never get. But it's kind of that. I mean, it's all the things we love, and it's really easy to sell what you love. So whether it's golf, which we have that department, we have activewear, we have a little bit more rugged utilitarian goods for fishermen or outdoorsmen. Like John said, we have grills. I mean, we're all living these lifestyles at different times. You might really be one guy, but you might be all of them too. And we don't want to silo ourselves or be too specific. So yeah, you're right. It's interesting. I haven't thought from a point of view that we don't want to create a department store, but we want to create kind of a lifestyle concept. Each concept design conversation I had is kind of the first step in that direction, that, okay, we've got to curate this showroom almost for what an active lifestyle would look like. And then what does a golf lifestyle look like? And what does the everyday business casual life look like? And that's kind of just, you flow through different areas of your life, I think, when you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's cool too, Kurt. I heard this stat. We've talked about this before, right? The American economy's done, several growths, right? A product economy to a service economy to an experience economy. And Patrick here has embodied all three in one retail space in a building that's 200 years old and has all of this character, right? And like a stat I heard yesterday, right? Michigan Avenue, downtown Chicago, magnificent mile. 65% of all the sales tax revenue for the city of Chicago comes on the Mag Mile on Michigan Avenue, right? But it's 40% vacant right now. So just think about all the opportunity that they're missing because all these storefronts are out. But like retail shopping has changed. You need to have an experience. And like I just heard this stat and I'm like, what kind of experience are you going to have when you go to a retail store? And like walking in here, this is an experience. So it's like what you're doing is awesome and right. And I feel like retailers on that Mag Mile, should really take a page out of your book.
I hope they don't.
Yeah. Okay.
Because they're all coming out of the city to come see us. I think we talked about it a little bit, John and I. We had 4 or 5 people sitting at our bar when he walked in. We had a guy getting his beard trimmed. Yeah. It's got to be experiential, and I think you have to build in things that make you keep showing up. Mm-hmm. And if we don't do that, you're only going to come when you need us. Yeah. We want you to come when you want to see us and when you want to just experience something. And if you walk out of here with a new pair of jeans, we're happy. Yeah. We're really happy. But if you're just hanging because your girl's at her dance class and you could sneak over for a beer while you babysit. That's my wife would say that's not babysitting. That's just being a parent. But if you can sneak down here and kill some time, we want you to be able to do that. And hopefully you'll catch something or you'll think of us next time. So it's got to be that experiential part of it is super key.
Well, this is fantastic. So Patrick, let's go here. Corporate experience, fashion guy, combining with golf. What was there a tipping point that put you into your entrepreneurial plunge? What did that look like? Was it exciting, scary? We're going to move back home. Kind of walk us through that what exactly happened there?
Yeah, I think that really I was lucky at a young age to be pushed to make a decision. I think so many kids now and young people, I mean, I still have friends in college, not undergrad, but they're just, they don't know what they want to do. I've got I'm 31, so we have a lot of friends that are just still kind of, looking for their next thing. And that's fine. But the university that I went to visit that said, here's what we have to offer. We need to write it down for the article we're writing about you that you're coming to school here. What do you want to study? And I was like, I'm not going to do this. I can't spend the next 4 years doing this. I don't like golf enough. I don't like playing golf enough to be miserable otherwise. So that kind of forced me into the first layer of it, I guess, from a point of view of the design side and really knowing and turning into what I do now. I worked at Ralph Lauren. I left Ralph to start a small brand called Grayson. It's not very small anymore. Justin Thomas, who's I think top 3 in the world in the world golf rankings, wears it on tour. Luke Donald, former number 1. There's a lot of great guys that wear that. And so I thought at that point, I was 22, I think, 23. I thought I have to leave. This is my only chance to work for a startup. And, you're thinking Silicon Valley and like those type of shows that the social network, Facebook, it's like, oh my gosh, this is my chance to be somebody. And then fast forward, I've worked for like 15 different startup golf companies. A few as a real employee, but a lot as a consultant and helping. And John's helped us make some merchandise for some of those guys. But I think that leap from Ralph, from stability and maybe what was a normal employment would be my first bit of like entrepreneurial. Like I could potentially not get paid if this doesn't go so well. But I think the risk we took. So speaking of like diving in, we had a baby July of 2021, straight out of COVID. I quit my job a week later with Grayson, who I worked with again from home as a designer after the fact, and this is when we got to meet. And I left my job a week later, and then we bought a puppy and opened a store like in 3 months. So we did everything all at once, but something about being within your comfort zone, and I think you just finally find that spot, like you know when you know, and I think we just felt like we were where we needed to be. We were settled. We had help if we needed it, whether or not we were busier than ever. Like the perfect time is never going to present itself. And I've always just said yes to everything. So I think, I don't know, combination of all those things probably.
One thing you told me too, that I don't want to put words in your mouth, but tell me if I'm saying it wrong. You've helped other brands build amazing brands for your entire career, and it was time that you wanted to make your brand and make that the focus.
Yeah, I've not prioritized myself. It's always worked, and it always afforded me the opportunity to live and have a nice life. But I typically, even if I did have my concept rolling, I'd call John or I'd call one of our other partners and say, hey, can you help me make product for XYZ? And because somebody said, hey, I love your crew neck, could you put my name on the inside of it? And that's kind of how we've operated so far. So as of this spring, we launched our own golf brand, a true golf brand. We've had our own t-shirt and kind of graphic merchandise label that we sell in our store, but this is the first time we've really brought our own manufactured line to the market. And this spring we've decided we're going to prioritize ourselves. So that's been really exciting to just finally rip the Band-Aid off. And the financial safety net was nice to work for everybody else and always have a little extra coming in because you helped so and so, but it means a lot more when it's yours, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. It's phenomenal.
Excellent. Well, all right. So I just want to recap a couple of things. So I heard baby, puppy, and new business. Did I catch all? Did I get anything else, Patrick? Did I get all those right?
Yeah, we're doing it all over again. And this spring, we launched our wholesale brand, which is also sold in our own store. We bought a new house and we had a newborn. So we have a 2-month-old again. So we're pretty good at making ourselves crazy. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I admire your courage, your determination, your stamina for launching. Retail was not the most popular place to be during COVID, and so my hats off to you for what you've done. And again, we've got a great view here, John, and I love how you're describing multiple things that we talk about. You're creating community, you're creating a destination, you're creating, John, if you want to chime in a little bit about that brand promise that we talk about almost every week, you're seeing it firsthand, right? Getting right underneath the hood here.
Yeah. I mean, he's got amazing brand.
He saw beneath the hood for sure.
Yeah.
It's not so pretty, in the back behind the scenes, but we make it work.
Well, yeah, again, like just the way the building the experience is, they have a beer cooler or the keg chiller that would probably be enough for, a 5,000 square foot bar.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Like probably 30 beers on tap if you wanted back there.
Yep.
But yeah, you just make it work. That's just part of the entrepreneurial spirit and fire, and part of that passion is conveyed through the logo, the brand promise. And I think like the promise here, in my opinion, it's my first time here, is
why?
Yeah, I know.
I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, it's my own damn fault. Is excellence, creativity, and passion. I mean, everything in here kind of screams those three words to me.
Yeah, I don't know what I have to say about that. I appreciate it, but it's an obsession.
Yeah, for sure, you can see it. Yeah, in a good way. Yeah.
Well, I love it. So Patrick, let's go here. So you've referenced multiple times, your relationship with John. You're launching a wholesale line. Share a little bit how important it is, these vendor relationships. I call it having that. I call them dream supporters. When you're an entrepreneur, we're dreamers, right? Everybody has a dream, and it's really critical. You can't do it alone. You need to have these wonderful folks around you to help elevate your business. How important has it been to you for your success, having relationships with vendors like John or other important folks that have helped you reach success here?
Yeah, I mean, in the merchandise business, obviously, there's a ton of different layers. John just introduced me. It goes back and forth, I think, in the value that you create in a relationship and just in your profession in any regard. But I'm bringing business to John, and he's introducing people to me to help them take it to the next step that maybe they can't quite do yet. So I think if you're loyal to the right people and the people that help get you there, it's all going to work out. I think that in the merchandise business, at least, especially in a domestic sense, it's really hard to get started. So businesses like John, you can kind of fake it till you make it. There's a ton of brands that I work with that are real, big businesses, media publications, household names that are, tearing a label out of a t-shirt and creating a brand from a graphic. But you get to a certain point and you may outgrow that, or you might see a more niche model on how to make something. And there's a lot of different layers to it. I was telling John about some of our factory partners, at least on the manufacturing side of things. We have partners that I've worked with for 10 plus years, and at all different brands, but they make some of the best product in the world. They make Lululemon, they make, once again, household stuff. So, just that loyalty, I think. And at the end of the day, regardless of what you're doing, it comes down to relationship and being good to the people that you work with, because you never know when they might re-enter your life.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah, John, if you want to share a little bit, I love that you're getting out in the streets, if you will, out in the trenches, seeing what's going on with clients, folks that you're working with.
Main Street of Morris.
Trenches on Main Street. So your takeaway on relationships that you have from Apparel Redefined with guys like Patrick.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I met Patrick through another customer of ours in locker room.
Further out this way.
A little bit far, yeah. Spring Valley, Illinois. And Jim's like, got to meet this guy. He's doing incredible things. And Jim's kind of at the end of his career, and he's, a great guy. And we've gone to 2 trade shows a year together and became, good friends and business partners for a while. And he's like, meet Patrick. Patrick came up, we met. And one of the things I feel like I don't want to say matured, because I don't really like that word, but grown up a little bit, is that sometimes when you meet people, like my initial aspect is like, okay, we got to do something right now. You know what I mean? Like something needs to happen right now, or this is kind of wasted time. And it's like, as I've kind of been in this industry, timing is everything, right? And maybe the time wasn't right, but that relationship and that connection, and that networking,
if it fits.
Yeah, it might not fit right now, but it might be 3-4 years, might be 5 years, whatever it is, but it will at some point. And then just not like learning how to not force it, but kind of let it naturally happen, organically happen. And those are kind of like the best things where like, hey, you don't have to force it right now, but maybe down the road it'll work. And in between that gap of when it might and when it will, there's a lot that can happen in between there that could benefit all parties.
Yeah, we have a very complicated business, as John is continuing to witness. It's the golf business is very specific. And like we talked about my dad and similar discerning buyers, they do things a certain way. And we have to do something a certain way. And big businesses like John's now, you may not feel like it's very big, but it's quite a bit bigger than quite a few of the people that we've had to help and learn to work with. We've taken some shiners by not working with the right folks, but when you do and you find the people that are willing to let you fit into their system or learn how you may need to help them work kind of to be successful together, it all seems to work. So we appreciate John's patience with us. We haven't, I don't think, even nearly hit the tip of the iceberg with what we can potentially do.
I see what you're doing, and I see the potential, and I see the partnership, and it's like where you will go is really far and high.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. And you need him to lower his prices. Then we'll talk. No, I'm kidding.
That's right. Hey, that was a perfect little segue there. But what John just teed up, Patrick. How about let's look in the future? Young entrepreneur, young family. You're in your hometown, just doing wonderful things. What are you excited about for the future of your company?
And not to go into too much detail, but this spring, we went back to that same wholesale trade show that I grew up going to as kind of a fan and just a free ticket with my dad, and walking around looking for free sunscreen or beef jerky or something at the trade show. And I now got to exhibit this year. So we have in 2024, we'll have 40 to 50 retailers around the country that will carry field day. And in all in golf and specialties. So doors like Oakmont, who's going to host the U.S. Open next year, Sand Valley, who's a wonderful golf resort in Wisconsin, these destination golf resorts. We have Chicago really pretty well assorted. We're Chicago guys, so Butler National and Shore Acres and some unbelievable names like bucket list places. So the thing I'm most excited about, and we've got to do a lot of things right. We have a long way to go, but the product's great, and it's really it's stuff that it's selfish, but it's what I love and it's what I want to wear. And luckily, we've had those people all gravitate toward it. It's quite unique. But I think from an excitement standpoint, I just think if we can partner with people like this and keep people pleased and hopefully they have success with our brand, I believe we should be able to support just about anybody. It has to be organic and it has to be the right fit. And I think we'll have to be very patient about that. But, it's pretty cool that we're able to have that lack of ceiling maybe in this little town that we're in, and the place that we want to be. I think that so many times brands just gravitate towards the coast because it's cheaper to operate, and the ports from a freight standpoint are. I mean, you probably deal with some of that too, but we're really picky, and we're kind of being selfish just about what our life needs, and sort of against the grain, proving that it's possible the way you want to do it with who you want to do it with, and where. So I think total dream come true. I dreamt this far, is what I keep saying. I dreamt to having the brand. I dreamt of the name. I dreamt of the way it looks. I dreamt of having the brand, but I never dreamt of having these conversations or printing the shipping labels. So it's a pretty cool thing. I kind of need to reset my dream and decide what's next. But it's kind of happening for us with the folks that have gravitated toward us and trust us with what we're doing. So.
Well, super inspiring, man. This is awesome. John, what are you excited about here for Patrick and what you're seeing here firsthand?
What I really like is, again, being from the Midwest, Kurt, up in the Buffalo area, all those lake towns around Lake Michigan. And I get that vibe, what was once a great town. Unfortunately, you see up and down Lake Michigan, they're kind of turned into ghost towns. It was a thriving area, and all of a sudden, whatever economy or whatever manufacturing, most of the time just kind of evaporated. I'm in manufacturing, he's in manufacturing, and it's what he's doing here at some point is supporting the community. This is a place where people come, they gravitate, they shop, they drink, they share stories, and every little town was so instrumental to so many people's lives. And I feel like there was such a focus on get out of little town, go to suburbia, or go to the big city. And this is America.
This downtown is totally America, and this space specifically for the last 150 years, it was a men's shoe store.
Mhm.
It was then the Heinz family general store, so they sold, clothing and just general goods for your whole household for another 50 years. It was called Hanover Linens when I was a kid, so they sold bedding. It was the hub. This is where everybody came. And we've got a lot of little towns around us that all come to Morris because it's where you get your stuff. It's where you get your groceries. It's where you get your beer.
Right.
This is where it's at. So it's cool to kind of go back in time a little bit and prove that it's still
viable, and it's important.
Viable, yeah.
It's very important. And you talked the word essential for 3 years of who's essential and who's not, and getting back into this. I don't even call it like small town living because I'm not from a big town, but it's really cool to see, and really, really impactful to see what the future could be. Because we talk about it, Kurt, all the time, where you want to grow your business, you want to get to a certain point, but you don't ever want to forget what got you there, right? And this is definitely a small business type of service experience, very personable, very relational, and at the same time executing plans for a larger business venture, right? Being in every golf course you want to be in, that can't happen without a big vision, right? But what got you in the first 5 courses, that relationship, I've just seen Patrick back there, handwriting notes, going to his customers with samples and handwriting thank you cards. That type of stuff goes so far and is so old school. And it's what I love, it's really cool. And that all stems from how he was brought up in this area, in this town, and that will translate whether you're a small business, mid business, large business, enterprise business. It's really cool.
Well, I love it. Heartbeat of America, man. You're really, this is just so inspiring. Just absolutely love it, Patrick. As we wind down, now I have 2 last questions for you. Number one, when I come out to visit, can I visit the barber shop, or what does that look like? So I'm just kidding.
They do straight razor shaves. Yeah,
you know what? I might get the blade shave. So I might come down for that. Get the hot cloth and all that. But
I tell my wife it's like having a nail salon at the office. I hop down, clean up. It's great reset.
Well, I love it. Well, last question for you: as a young entrepreneur, best business advice that you received, maybe if you would share to your younger self, or maybe you 10 years ago, what's best business advice that you've received?
Since I was young, and this is probably another layer to it, but since I was young, I started a quote book because I just had some really instrumental people. And, I was around Ralph, my boss, Charlie, John Ashworth, who sold Ashworth to Adidas in the 90s. I had really amazing people as leaders, and I started a quote book just because some of the things that they'd say is just like, oh my gosh, I felt like I was in a movie. But John Ashworth said to me one time, it's only work if you would rather be somewhere else. And I think, I know love what you do, do what you love, all those kinds of things. But the way that he said that it's only work if you'd rather be somewhere else, there's nothing I'd rather be doing than doing this, and where we're doing it. You just said heartbeat of America. I mean, it's just like kids out having ice cream. There's tube tops outside on the sidewalk. We've got it's so it's not Sweet Home Alabama, but it's close. It's so fun to come here and be at work and share relationships. We had a guy come in here yesterday and said, hey, is that your guitar in the other room that I just displayed by my desk and I don't play very well? And he goes, mind if I play it? And then he played like a 7-song concert for our bar. So that stuff doesn't happen, I don't think, downtown Chicago.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of them, those one-liners, the things I get inspired by. But I flipped through it this morning just as like another little reminder to myself, and I haven't found the opposite yet. So I think if you'd rather, it's only work if you'd rather be somewhere else.
Oh, that is brilliant advice. Absolutely love it. Words of wisdom. Speaking of, John, any parting thoughts, your takeaways from our conversation today?
no, just super thankful for Patrick. I mean, it was last minute. I kind of sprung it on him, and I appreciate your time and know how busy you are and building this amazing business and brand. So just want to say thanks, Kurt. Thank to you as well. Really love what we're doing here. Again, you got me out of my comfort zone, and just in these last 5-6 weeks, the conversations we've had have been amazing. So thank you both.
We're gonna go play golf now.
No, hey, yeah, hit the bar, get a haircut, and get on the golf course. Will you just do it? And I'll be with you in spirit. So, Patrick, God bless you, man. Thank you. I wish you and your wife, your family, just massive success. John, we've got to come back in a couple years here and see what else is going on here at Patrick's place here. So
definitely.
This is going to be awesome. So, all right, we will close out. Patrick, thank you for your time, your energy. We appreciate you, John. Thank you so much. And all right, we will close out. And John, we'll be back next week, I think, right?
Yeah, we got next week.
All right. We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, I know.